culture war. That strategy was on prominent display recently when one of the billionaires informally advising Trump, investor Mark Andreessen, took to Joe Rogan's podcast in order to make the case for eliminating an agency, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which has consistently stood up to business abuses of consumers. This agency, which has a comparatively small budget, mind you, has returned $21 billion to ordinary Americans in just more than a decade of existence. As we covered here with Matt Stoller, Andreessen hates the CFPB precisely because the work it does protecting consumers has been inconvenient for some of his scammier business investments. But instead of making the kind of unpersuasive case that he and his allies should just be able to plunder unimpeded, he instead made up a lie to play to one of the right-wing culture war issues du jour and claimed that the CFPB was debanking conservatives for ideological reasons. That's not even a power the CFPB has, and on the contrary, the agency's head has pushed back on ideological debanking. Nevertheless, Andreessen's lies were immediately picked up by the Doge crew. Vivek responded on X, "The only right answer, shut it down. Musk concurred. Delete CFPB." If there was any pushback from the MAGA base, I certainly did not see it. But if Musk really wants to slash $2 trillion from the budget, or anything close to that, much more must be targeted than this agency, which even if deleted in its entirety, comprises a grand total of 0.031% of that $2 trillion goal. So it should be no surprise that the billionaires have set their sights on the longtime conservative fantasy of cutting Social Security and Medicare, contra to Donald Trump campaign promises. Now, on Twitter, Elon reshared a lengthy thread from libertarian Mike Lee, making Paul Ryan-style conservative arguments attacking the foundations of Social Security. Meanwhile, Vivek has argued that they could slash hundreds of millions of dollars from Medicaid, Social Security, and Medicare through what he describes as, quote, basic program integrity measures. Republican members of Congress are rushing to back them up in this assault on our most popular, successful programs.
We got to bring the Democrats in and talk about Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare. There's hundreds of billions of dollars to be saved, and we know how to do it. We just have to have the stomach to actually take those challenges on. But we can't just talk about our discretionary budget. That's less than 25% of our budget. We have to have some real hard discussions.
Well, we talk about this all the time. It seems like we're constantly talking about where to cut and the fact that the fight over defense. Do you believe that the defense budget should be cut?
I'm not a big fan of that. I think we could do things a lot better. But when you talk about what's happening in Taiwan, what's happening in the Middle East, what's happening with Israel, what's happening in Ukraine, this is an unstable place, an unstable time. We have to be very careful.
So not big on those defense cuts, but very open to the social programs cuts. What's more, in Elon and Vivek's quest to bring what they describe as a chainsaw to government spending cuts, the Doge duo are also threatening programs where specific funding authorizations have lapsed. That's an easy way, perhaps, to cut spending without having to go through those pesky, duly elected representatives in Congress at all. Now, I know everyone's for cutting federal spending in the abstract. Sounds good, right? Trim the fat, all that stuff. Sounds good. But the reality can be quite harsh. Among the programs that could be slashed using Vivek's innovative approach are veterans health care, new drug development, opioid addiction treatment, housing assistance, and the Head Start preschool program that gives low-income kids access to early childhood education. Now, Trump's billionaires might not need these programs, but millions of Americans truly do depend on them. Now, there's one large and vastly unaccountable area of government that I would personally be happy to see slashed, and that is the Pentagon. Now, Bernie Sanders and Ro Khanna have both signaled they would like to work to help Musk with this project if he's actually serious about it in an attempt to effectively call his bluff. But no one should delude themselves into believing that Elon Musk, who is himself one of the Pentagon's largest contractors, is earnestly interested in trimming the sails of the military. Pete Hegseth, too, Trump's nominee for the Defense Department, he's been portrayed as some sort of a revolutionary intending to hack away at the Pentagon. In reality, he's supported every war, including the Iraq War up until shockingly recently. He's articulated a desire to expand American militarism abroad and frequently couches his critiques of the Pentagon in culture war terms. What's more, Trump has reportedly picked another billionaire to serve as the Pentagon's number two, a guy by the name of Steven Feinberg. Now, Feinberg has made millions with large investments in defense contractors himself. Now, in my experience, war profiteers don't tend to be inclined towards cutting back military spending or cutting back on endless wars. I suspect this crew will performatively cut some meaningless DEI program and then call it a day. After all, outside of like two people, Thomas Massie and Rand Paul, maybe there are a couple others, the Republican Party has no interest in cutting the defense budget. Trump himself increased it every single year while he was in office the last time. Jon Stewart made a similar point recently when he was speaking with Bernie Sanders about finding the balance between trying to work with Trump and his billionaires when they claim to want to do something good, but also not getting played.
what Musk and Ramaswamy are proposing, boy, is something I've wanted for years. I'm just not sure those are the guys that I wanted to do it, because maybe I don't trust their,
right.
I feel like they're too focused on woke or retribution or something along those lines, and will go in there. Is it Democrats' inability to reform those processes that has opened the opportunity for this more nihilistic approach?
Yeah, Democrats are, in many cases, not all, defending a system which is broken, and people perceive that it is broken. And Trump says it is broken. Now, his remedies are going to make it even worse. And I think what I fear very much hasn't been discussed all that much. If I give you an example, the post office, the mandate of the post office is a very good mandate. It is to deliver mail to every house in America, no matter how rural it can be. It's a money loser, but it's the right thing to do. You can privatize the post office tomorrow, make it more efficient, and yet you will lose the beauty of what the post office is supposed to be. The challenge that we face is, can you have a post office functioning in the year 2024, which is efficient, which serves the needs of its customers? I believe we can. I believe we can, and I'm fighting for that. What these other guys, I suspect, want to do is privatize, 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 so it'll have even more power in the hands of the large corporate interests.
Look, I genuinely get the surface level appeal of Doge, and even of stacking your administration with billionaires, given the American mythology that financial success is indicative of general superiority. The truth is, though, with very few exceptions, your interests and the interests of billionaires are diametrically opposed. They want to degrade government until it no longer has the power to impede their plunder, to slash the social safety net programs that can take the edges off of our vast inequality, while fattening their own coffers with contracts and subsidies, and guaranteeing a future filled with limitless automation and crypto scams that funnel even more to the already rich. Musk and some of his friends, they've told Americans to prepare themselves for economic hardship, thanks to their austerity program. But somehow it's never them and their rich buddies who are asked to participate in that shared sacrifice. But yes, by all means, let's ask the low-income 4-year-olds and our nation's veterans and seniors to sacrifice so that Trump's billionaires can execute a brazen smash and grab on our future. Trump has handed the keys over to the very globalist elites he once derided. And Sagar, this really gets at there are a lot of tensions within the coalition.
Hey guys, if you want to see what I had to say to Crystal's monologue, not just this one, all of them going back to the very beginning, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com.